Hey guys, it's Mr. V over here doing a book review today for Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. Before I get into my book review, I want you to know that I do a spoiler-free book review. So if you see me looking down occasionally, I just have notes. So I try not to give any spoilers away. I also hope you guys click the subscribe button, as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. So let's get into the book review for Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. The main premise for this book is about the beginning of the book. Someone runs into a crowd of people with a car and they kill 8 people. And this killer is never caught. And then you follow the life of a retired policeman, Bill Hodges, who has never been able to crack the case. And the killer who is never caught, ends up sending Bill Hodges a letter months after it has gone cold. So that's the main premise for this book. Before you get into the book, you should know that this has a little bit of a disturbing stuff. It has some disturbing content. So I recommend that you're over 18 before you read this book, because it is dark at points and it has some disturbing things in it. I think many people can handle it, but I just want you to be aware of it, and that's just my recommendation. And you should also know that this is not your typical Stephen King. Despite it being dark, this is more of a crime thriller. Now, it's a dark crime thriller, but it is more of a crime thriller, so I just want you to be aware of that aspect. But I still thought that this was a great thriller. This was a great thriller, as this story grabs you very quickly. You know, it starts off with the guy running into a bunch of people and killing 8 people, and then the case going cold, and, you know, this detective really wants to solve it and was never able to solve it. You know, so it is very fun, and it just grabs you quickly. But it does turn dark very quickly as well. By chapter 3, it is pretty dark, where he kind of goes in depth about explaining one of the killings. And that's why I said it's a little darker in those elements. But it is still very interesting, and I would say that if you can handle the darkness, then it does grab you. It doesn't stay dark the whole book, but the beginning is a little darker, and I just want you to know that. Then it kind of lightens up later in the book, but just again, be aware of that aspect. But it does grab you because it is a very fun plot. And I felt that, again, it was like a crime thriller type of plot, but it had a very super smooth flow throughout the book, and you just wanted to keep reading because it was very exciting. It was just exciting continually throughout the book because it was a very interesting story, and there was a lot of wonder in the story because you kept wondering, like, okay, where is he going to take this? Some people online felt it was predictable. I did not feel it was predictable, as I always wondered, okay, where is he going to take it? So that's what made it a lot of fun, and it's also intense without violence. The beginning had violence, but after that, it was pretty intense without it being violent, and that's where it was, I said, that like crime thriller. It was a thriller, and it was a lot of fun. You know, I had a lot of fun when reading it, to where you basically did not want to put the book down. And in the story, you know, you're basically following like 2 main characters. Other characters get introduced, but you're following 2 main characters, and it's kind of cool because some chapters you'll be in one character, another chapter you'll be with another character, and that's what's kind of fun because their stories are interwoven, and you got to see both sides of it, and you get to follow both characters. So that's fun seeing that, and I think Stephen King also did a great job in introducing the characters. He introduced the characters very well, as there are different characters throughout the book, but you were never overwhelmed with the characters. Like, while there were more characters, you never felt like he just threw too many at you. And sometimes he does that, or sometimes other authors do that. You never felt that way, and I thought he developed the characters pretty well. With that, he didn't overdevelop the characters, but he didn't underdevelop them either. He kind of just gave you what you needed to know, and then he kept revealing more and more about the characters as the story progressed, and I think that helped a lot. And I think he developed the characters well because he had great dialogue. I enjoy the dialogue a lot because that's where you get to know the characters a lot more, and it just drew you into the story a lot more through the dialogue. And Stephen King is known to normally have great dialogue, and I thought this story continued to have great dialogue. Mr. Mercedes had a lot of great dialogue, and just know, you know, throughout the whole book, I felt this was like this thriller drama that lasted throughout the whole book, which is really important because I felt there were like no down points, or there weren't any points that seemed to drag. which was really good. You know, it's not a super long book, but, you know, I didn't feel there were any points that dragged, so that was really good, and that's a really good part because it made it fun throughout the whole book, and you just wanted to keep reading. And the reason I think it was fun throughout the whole book was because his writing style. His writing style just grabs you, and he grabs you with the development of the characters, but also how he describes the things, where you can kind of like picture it. And Stephen King is known to do that well, and he did the same thing in this book. I think he described the scenery well. He just did everything well to where you can kind of picture the whole events happening, and, you know, that was really good. One thing that you could say is either good or bad for this book is that it had short chapters. Very short chapters. So you can say that's good or bad. It was good because it was easy to pick up, just read a couple chapters and put back down. But you can also say it was bad is that sometimes you may have wanted the chapters to be a little longer, as maybe you wanted the chapter to be fleshed out a little more. You want a little more with the characters or something like that. So you can say it's good or bad. You know, I still thought it was pretty good overall, but you could say that may be one of the things that I may have knocked it down for. But overall, you wanted to continue to read it, and you can just move on to the next chapter, you know, so that was always good because the chapters were short. You know, so I really enjoyed the book a lot, and, you know, I'd recommend this book. You know, this is the first in the Bill Hodges trilogy, but this is the first one. I read some other reviews online, and some of the reviews online said this kind of had this like Law and Order style, which I can see what they mean because this is a crime thriller, but I would say that this is better than like a Law and Order style because it was like a darker one, and Stephen King is a better writer, so it was like a better Law and Order style, and it was just, again, it was just a fun crime thriller overall. You know, so I really enjoyed the book. Now I'm going to give it my official rating right now. So I always rate my books on a scale of 0 to 10, with a 0 being an awful book, a 5 is an average, and a 10 is phenomenal. If whoever gets anywhere near 10, that should be on your reading list because I'm a pretty tough critic, so it's hard to move up 1 point. So for Mr. Mercedes, I'm going to give this book a 7.5, which is fairly high in my rating system. And I'm giving it a 7.5 because I had a lot of fun with the book. I didn't feel it had down points. I thought he did good characters. I just thought it was a fun plot. Yeah, it was not the typical Stephen King because it was like this crime thriller, but I had fun with that. So, you know, that's why I'm giving it a 7.5, because I had a lot of fun with the book. So I recommend you guys go out and read this book. So if you guys have any comments or questions, please post it in the comment section below. Again, I hope you guys click the subscribe button, as I always upload multiple different types of book reviews. But thank you for watching my book review today. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy reading.